Hello, welcome or welcome back. I am so happy you're here to join me on the first draw with me, fill a sketchbook spread with me, whatever you want to call it. This is going to be my first art video on YouTube that is, fully edited, fully narrated, fully fucking everything that isn't the sketchbook tour. I'm nervous, but somehow I managed to condense 6 hours of footage of me drawing into this 40-minute video, so I guess I'm doing something right so far. Anyway, this spread is going to feature the main character of the webcomic I'm currently working on. Her name is Vilda Retentius. I hope to release the comic sometime around this time next year. Hopefully is when I want to start posting it publicly. I've been working on it for an extremely long time. It's just that I'm kind of a perfectionist, and I go back and revise things quite a lot. I can't make much progress forward. It doesn't look like I've written as much as I have because I've basically written like 3 different stories, the first part of 3 different stories, with how many overhauls I've given the setting and such. I've been working on this idea since I was like 11. Anyway, I'll keep you guys posted on any luck with the comic. Back to this. I'm doing a spinny. I'm putting a little spinny in there. I will link the tutorial I followed. I cannot remember the artist's name. I'll put their name on screen. Or like now. Once I figure their name out, I have to look it up. Anyway, this comic, it is called The Fractured God's Children, and it is a fantasy adventure comic. The story takes place in a setting that was created by a god that produced offspring to populate the planet that it had created, and when their children started to break off into factions, go to war, things like that, it was very disheartening to this entity, and God's tears are very heavy, and when the entity cried over its children, its tears shattered the earth and split all of their children into 3, and it also split the god into 3. So there are now 3 gods and 3 races. There are technically 4 now, because that is basically ancient history at like the time specifically in the story's chronology that the story actually takes place, because our story centering on Vilda begins much after the fracture occurred, and she is the princess of the Hexodus, which is one of the 3 races, the Hexodus, the Arudali, and the Dagonine. There's a 4th race technically known as Hyvidae, and these are individuals whose parents were not the same race. They're like part Dagonine, part Arudali, etc., stuff like that. Anyway, Vilda is the princess of the Hexodus. The 3 races are shapeshifters, because when they were broken, when the shift and the fracture happened, they lost a lot of the powers that they had been granted by their god. But the powers are not lost, they are just scarcer, and not every single person has every power. But one thing that everyone kept was shifting. They all have like a bestial form that they can take. The 3 main races are very canine, feline, and bird-coded. Vilda is princess of the cat-coded race, the Hexodus. At the time our story occurs, her father, who is the king currently of the Hexodus, is unwell, and he dies. This is spoilers, but it's spoilers for like page fucking like 5. So I'm not worried. I don't think anyone's that pressed about spoilers anyway. Her father is unwell, he's dying. He was told he had longer than he had. He was given another, I think, it's just a line that's like thrown out in passing for like context. I don't remember if he was given a few more months or a few more years, but he's dying prematurely. Vilda is, at the beginning of the story, she's very weary of the responsibilities that she realizes are going to come with taking the throne. She has always dreamed of reunifying the 3 races. She wanted to use her position as royalty from inside the system to like make change. But that was a lot of talk she did as a teenager. And now that she's actually being faced with this being real, she's putting a lot of pressure on herself. Not necessarily undue pressure. Like it's a pretty big responsibility. In the beginning of the story, there is like a running theme of her thinking that she has to do everything herself, which like has a bit to do, I believe personally, with like being royalty. She grew up being like waited on hand and foot, but she wants to like prove that she's capable without being waited on. And she also feels a bit guilty for being so reliant on other people for so long, which is something that I kind of feel and I kind of put on her because I am disabled. And sometimes I feel guilty for being reliant on other people for certain things, just in general. It's a feeling I have, so it's kind of been imparted on her. But she is feeling, towards a good portion of the beginning of the story, like the first third, she is struggling with this idea of asking for help and that she deserves help. And honestly, it's made harder for her because there are some events later. They're still early in the story, but a little later in the story, she's still trying to do things without burdening other people and asking them for help. But people are helping her anyway, and she's not like pushing them away when they help without her asking. She's just, I mean, she's weary, but she's not like, she won't say no after you pester her enough. And some people help her and they pay dearly for it. And she feels even worse because she was just feeling like a burden to others. She now feels like she killed someone effectively. But she has I might put the timeline up on screen if I can remember to. She has a physical transformation throughout the comic. It changes slowly throughout the comic. Well, not slowly as in like, it doesn't like fade to another color. Like, it's just that like, as the story goes, she makes changes to her appearance. I do believe I'm going to include her having a little bit of fluctuation in her weight in the comic, because she's going from being royalty to being on the run and like scavenging sometimes. Like it's a big change. I think her appearance would change a little bit, but I'm not gonna like, it's not gonna be like a big plot point or anything. I'm not really gonna point any of that out. It's just gonna like be a little detail. I guess if you're watching this and you give that much of a shit, or you're that invested, which I don't know who you are, but thank you, I love you. I don't know who you would be, but yeah, she's probably gonna lose a little bit of weight, and then after the resolution toward the end, like gain a little bit of it back. So keep an eye out for that when you see the actual comic, in case Lord Will and I can get my cartoony-ass art style to convey that, rather than it just looking like I don't know how to draw her the same 2 times. A big inspiration I have for like early story Vilda is a quote from Na 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 by MCR. Everybody wants to change the world, but no one wants to die. And I just really love that quote because, I mean, it's true, and that doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing, but like, I'm sure every single person watching this right now, all of us, I'm sure we have changes we would want to see in the world. I know for fucks, like, I know I want to change so many things so bad, especially now, but not everybody is ready to die for that, and it's not necessarily meant in a literal way, and in my interpretation, it's just, like, you can believe in something, but, like, at the end of the day, sometimes you're in a position where you can't risk that much. Even if you believe in something, you can't make the risk to stand for it the way you want to. And that's part of her arc as a character. She wants to change the world, but she doesn't want to die. And towards the end, she doesn't care if she dies. She lets go, but because she's willing to do anything it takes to fix what's happening. I like that arc. I should warn you now that I am very picky about color choices when I do traditional art of my characters, because I've been spoiled like a titty baby on digital art and the plethora of infinite colors you have available. So this spread is full of pictures of Vilda, and I don't think she's the exact same colors, especially her hair, in any one of those pictures compared to the next. I'm sorry if that irks you. I promise it irks me too, but I keep trying things and they keep not looking how I want them to look, and I will continue because I am stubborn. I just realized it might be a good idea to tell y'all what I'm using as I pull shit out. For this specific drawing, all I used is... Oh, well, I was gonna be a liar a second ago. Anyway, the base was Ohuhu water-based brush markers. The shading and details were done with Crayola colored pencils, and some little touches were done with Shuttle and Grabie acrylic paint markers. And now, the line art was Sharpie. Just straight up Sharpie, which I have found works so good with the Ohuhus, by the way. They don't smear it, like, the slightest. It's lovely. And now we finally get to the part where I actually open the fucking sketchbook. I'm sorry, I just realized you've been watching this whole video and I just didn't even have a sketchbook out, and it's a sketch with me. Fill my sketchbook. Whatever the fuck I'm calling this, I'm sorry. I'm sorry if you felt lied to, but I came through in the end. Oh, this flower that I'm drawing, the one with the 4 petals, the yellow one, this is a flower from the comic. It's just made up. To be honest, I am very bad at flower anatomy. You can probably tell that right now. You can probably tell that, but I suck at drawing real flowers, especially from reference. So 90% of the flowers I ever draw are just made up. Like, I just shit one out, pick a god and pray that it looks believable. If you zoom in on what I'm doing right now, this is like mostly just scribbles. Like, between the flowers, it kind of looks like I've sat and drawn like a jillion little tiny flowers. I bullshit my way through flowers, buddy. My mom was so impressed with this. I was working on it in the living room earlier today, and she was like, I think that's some of your best work. And I was like, well, first of all, fuck you. But anyway, this yellow flower is called a yellow gust pin, and it was her mother's favorite flower. Her mother passed away when she was young, Vilda's, and it was her mother's favorite flower. She kind of adopts it as like a symbol of the movement she is starting as she makes waves and tries to like rectify the situation. Oh, I didn't even explain what the situation is. The conflict of the story occurs when her dad passes away. And when she is meant to be crowned, she relinquishes the throne to her cousin Eudes. And Eudes, unbeknownst to her, is corrupted as fuck. I won't get into it. I don't want to like spoil things too hard. Even though I'm not like super worried about spoilers, because like I'm rambling incoherently and I change shit so much that this could be like a completely different fucking story by the time you actually have any access to it in like a completed state. Anyway, Eudes is under some corruption, and she relinquishes the throne to him because he is the only other living member of the royal family that can be crowned. She thinks, oh, he's kind of an asshole, like, because they don't get along. They have a very messy relationship. And she's like, well, he's an asshole, but like, what? How bad can he do? And the answer is very. And she ends up being exiled, basically, and she's sent on the run. And Eudes is like starting a full-on whole-ass war at this point. And Vilda needs to, from behind the scenes, because she's on the run, she's wanted, she's being like hunted down by mercenaries. Her royal status has no benefit to her right now anymore. So she's got to pull the strings through, you know, rebellious methods, illegal ones. Anyway, it turns out everything goes better in the end. Like, there's some sad moments, and there's some other characters. I'll probably try to talk about some of the other characters at some point. Also, my hair is going to be in my head, is going to be in this video a lot, and I'm really sorry. I tried to cut out as much of my fucking fuzzy ass head as I could, but like, my head was there so much that if I cut my head out every time, then there would be huge gaps in the drawing. And it would be like, well, what the fuck are they, why are they, like, skipping huge gaps in the drawing? The answer would be my big, fat, furry head. But I didn't, so it's not. Now that line art is done and I'm erasing the sketch, you can get a better look at what I was talking about earlier, the bullshittery I do when I want to do, like, fluffy, full arrangements of flowers. Like, I don't know how good the quality of my footage is, but like, if you zoom in, these flowers are just, there's like 5 real flowers and the rest is just bullshit scribbles. I really like how the different types of flowers, but they're all the same yellow thing came out. I didn't have the spoons in me to color all the flowers different colors, and I also wasn't sure how good it would look with the portrait of Vilda and the focal point flower being yellow. So I just stuck with those colors. I am so happy with how this page came out overall, just for it to be my first spinny. And I looked up the artist whose tutorial I followed. Their name is Necrolog. I'll still link and show their username in the video, but I just wanted to point that out now that I've went back and looked. I'm happy with this. I definitely want to do some like more complicated ones. 10 out of 10 would spin again. For this picture that I just started working on now, I used a reference image from Graphite Studios. Graphite? I'm not positive how to pronounce it, but they do like photograph references for artists, and they sell packs of their reference images, and they are beautiful. And this one just screamed Vilda to me for some reason. She was nude in my head, but when I realized I was probably going to do a YouTube video with this spread, I put clothes on her. I'll throw the reference I used up on the screen nowish. I think I did a pretty decent job converting a real human to my style in terms of like mimicking the pose and such. This is my favorite part of the whole spread. this full body with the cloak. Oh, more of my big ass head in the way. Don't mind me. Oh Lord, look at my comically oversized glasses. I apologize in advance for the shaky camera. I got this like gooseneck mount thingy for my iPad, and it's the wobbliest fucking thing ever. I'm so sad. I think if I put it on a stable surface near my desk instead of attaching it to my actual desk, then like maybe I can keep it from wobbling the whole time I draw, but I'm gonna have to workshop that. I'm gonna have to do some experimenting because this ain't gonna fly for long. I'm really proud of how the transparent effect came out on her wrap thing that she's wearing. I know it's early on right now, so it's a little hard to say, but like when it's finished, I really love the effect. I regret going over it. I go over it a little bit with some Shuttle paint marker in like a yellowy beigey color. And I wish I hadn't done that, but it didn't like ruin it. It just kind of made it look a little bit less transparent, which irked me. When the god split into three, Inani's was the god that took the Hexodus as her children, and I don't know, but I like to think that this is an image of Vilda speaking to Inani. Or Crucius. Crucius is an ancestor of Vilda's. She was one of the first queens of the Hexodus. I am a slut for a silky, shiny looking, heavy red fabric drapery. Like an excuse to draw like drapery in like a heavy satiny fabric that is red. I dig that shit so bad. So I took the excuse to make this red. I think that as like a whole spread, this entire spread, I mean, it's not done yet, so like, I mean, I know what it looks like done, spoilers, but I I wish it was a little more cohesive, but I'm terrible at like planning spreads ahead before I go in. I just start. I don't think about things or plan my layouts. I am way too disorganized for all that. Every now and then, I get an idea that is very specific, and I know exactly what I want to do and how I want to do it, and I go and I do it. But for the most part, I just pick up a utensil and commit crimes. As much as I struggle to find the perfect shade of blue for Vilda's hair and the perfect shade of, like, Caucasian for her skin, one thing that has been a constant is that I use the raspberry Crayola pencil to put the blush on her. No matter what other colors of anything I'm using, I demand my raspberry Crayola. I don't know what I would do if I didn't have access to one. I am addicted to that color. I think it works on so many complexions to do blush. Sometimes I'll use, well, in this case, to add a little bit more depth to her nose after I use the raspberry to make it pink, I use some, I think, mahogany of the Crayola to make it look a little bit more round, less flat. And you can see I just did the thing with the marker. Oh, this is a good part. If you do not have a set of like rainbow pencils yet, I beg you to consider getting yourself some. These things are so much fun to work with. They are so good at just filling in backgrounds to draw attention to a sketch, or like filling in certain details to make things pop. Like they are so versatile. I am addicted. I got a nice set off Amazon. They're the Koh-I-Noor Magic FX pencils, and there's like 5 colors in the set. Well, 5 like patterns. 4 or 5. I think it's, anyway, it doesn't fucking matter. They're kind of pricey to be that few. They're like, I think they're like $12 and you get like 5 of them, which is kind of crazy. But then I found a set on Temu that was like 12 different colors, and it's Temu, so it was like 5 cents and a potato chip that I found under the couch. And now we come to the point where I start this headshot, which I think came out very cute, but definitely highlights my tendency to get just absolutely possessed by a completely different person's art style every now and then. I mean, I might be deluding myself, but I still think it looks like her. Like, I think no matter what style I decide to use that day, I think I'm decent at, like, keeping it visibly, obviously her. But I could just be biased. This literally looks like I'm trying to draw during an earthquake. I am so sorry. I am definitely gonna have to get my shit together before the next video. This little headshot I love. I like this chibi style I use once in a while. In my head I refer to it as my friend-shaped art style. And it's honestly not that different from my like default art style. It's just that everybody has the like big black circle eyes. That's the gimmick. But I just think it makes people look so cute. I mean, I simplify some other things. Like there's a few other differences. I will warn you, after this point in the session, I am not sober, and I do partake in some dumb fuckery, which I will point out when it occurs. So here I'm moving in to put a transparent sticky note over her because I want to give her a cartoony little skull. And the first trace I do, the skull is like at her hairline, and I didn't like it. So I did another take, and it came out much, much better. But then, right there, that's when I fucked up. I put the x-ray, I continued the x-ray onto her shoulders on the original image, and I had to color correct that shit with acrylic paint markers, and it was very obnoxious, and I felt very, very silly. For this last component of the spread, I used a reference image from Kivitzer, who is a fucking god of references. I have grown up using Kivitzer references. I adore them. I wanted to go with the one that was like a more tight fetal position, because initially my idea was to have her very tightly curled up in the fetal position, and then to like make her hair curl around her in such a way that it's kind of shaped vaguely like a womb. But I just could not get the anatomy right, trying to translate it to my style. So for some fucking reason, I was able to successfully translate the more complicated pose with limbs every fucking where into my style. I don't know how much sense that makes. I mean, it doesn't make any. And I don't know why. But I'm not complaining, because I do like how this came out, and there's my big ass head again. Oi. But yeah, this is probably my second favorite part of the spread. This full body. While we're on the topic of the comic, I am still trying to figure out where exactly I want to post it. I'm pretty sure I'm just going to put it on Webtoon at first. I don't know about making my own site, or like I want to have freedom with it. Like I don't want any weird shit with like contracts with Webtoon, or content being restricted because nudity, this, that, or the other thing. Like, I don't want to have to deal with all that, but at the same time, I don't think I have the resources or the skill set to have a website for the comic to host it myself. So part of me wants to make it like physical comics, like paperbacks, and sell it on Amazon. Just because I would really love for it to be like a physical book eventually. But I don't know, where's your favorite place to read comics? Where do you think the best place to put one is? Something I definitely adore about these colorful pencils is the fact that they don't erase very easy. I mean, they're not meant to be erasable, so like they shouldn't, but they hold up very well. So like I use them for line art quite often when I want like a crazy effect. And I wanted this to just be line art, so I figured I'd use them. I think it's so pretty. And for the finishing touches, I just went in with this color changing magical marker, also from Temu. I regret a little bit of the doodling to fill the margins. I think I might have gone a little overboard with it, but we're done. And overall, I think it came out pretty well. Very pretty. But yeah, let me know what you think. Comment, subscribe, share, tickle the like button. Do all those lovely things. Thank you for sticking with it if you're still here right now.